Nonso was the only child of Mr. and Mrs. Frederick. He was 10 years old and was attached to his mother. He tells her everything and would always tell her how his day at school went. His mother loved him and understood him at all times. Nonso was closer to his mother until she passed away, leaving him and his father alone in their huge home. Her presence meant a lot to them, but she was gone, which broke Nonso's heart into pieces. He wanted his mother back at all costs. She died out of kidney failure, and it was a very painful one. Years passed, and Mr. Frederick was gradually able to heal, but Nonso's heart remained closed off. He never stopped thinking about his mother and how he misses her. He never wanted to let go of her and the life they had before. One day, his father told him about a lady he met. Her name was Eva, and Mr. Frederick promised Nonso that he was going to like her. But Nonso, who was already furious, interjected immediately, telling his father he was getting a replacement so easily and quickly. Then he concluded that no one would ever replace his mother and walked out angrily. That evening, Mr. Frederick tried to convince his son that it wasn't a replacement, but someone who could fill in and help. He said all he could, but Nonso still wasn't convinced and refused to talk to Eva. He told her he doesn't ever want to see her again and that she should please stay away from him, after making it clear that no one could ever take his mother's place. And that got Mr. Frederick heartbroken. He loved the son and didn't want to hurt him, but likewise Eva, he didn't want to hurt her either. Although she was very patient and didn't rush the whole thing, she understood Nonso's perception and was willing to wait, even though she was hurting at the fact that she was kept distant. One day, she went to Nonso's school to pick him up, since Mr. Frederick couldn't due to his tight schedule. So she offered to help, and when she arrived, she walked to Nonso's classroom to pick him. But he denied her, saying she was the father's mistress and that she was evil. He faked a cry and she left sadly, feeling humiliated at what Nonso had said. But the information didn't reach Mr. Frederick because she didn't want to get in between father and son, so she kept it to herself. 2 days later, Mr. Frederick received a news from Nonso's school that Nonso collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. And immediately, Mr. Frederick drove to Nonso's hospital, whereby eventually he got to find out from the doctor that his son has a kidney failure and needed a donor urgently. Mr. Frederick got frustrated and asked the doctor how it was possible without signs, but the doctor's explanation wasn't satisfactory. He paid the hospital to get a donor for his son, but the waiting list was long and hope was fading. He watched his son getting weaker and weaker and gradually running out of strength, and he cried, trying to find a donor. Eva, on the other hand, quietly ran a test on herself in the hospital, and when she discovered she was a perfect match, she immediately donated hers, and the surgery was successful. Nonso regained strength and was well again. Some time passed, and he learned what Eva had done for him. It made his heart soften and full of regrets. He hated the fact that he ever pushed her away and was longing to see her and hug her intensively. With tears in his eyes, he requested to see her. And when she entered his room, unsure of how he would react, Nonso reached out for her hand and cried, apologizing to her and thanking her for saving his life. "You saved a life that never welcomed you," he said to her, but she smiled and hugged him, telling him she would do more if she has to. She told him she's not trying to replace his mother, but to only be a part of his and his father's life. "I just wanted to be here for you," she said, and hugged him. And when Mr. Frederick walked in, he joined them and they all laughed. Days passed and Nonso gladly welcomed Eva into their home. He loved her dearly and realized that loving her didn't mean forgetting his mother. Instead, it meant honoring the memories of the love his mother had given him by accepting the love Eva was offering. And then they became a kind of family full of love and understanding. With you I'm whole, with you I'm complete. In your love my heart finds its beat.